So you got $10,000 and you want to buy yourself a good grinder. Which grinder should you buy? And you should probably match it to the area that you're going to be grinding. If you're out in the country, you'll get the most bang for the buck with a tow behind, because you could fit pretty much anywhere in the country. Now, if you're in the city, you're probably going to want a small portable machine that can fit through gates. That's going to be very important in the city, and not only in gates, in tight spots. It's going to be difficult fitting a large tow behind machine in tight spots in somebody's backyard, and just squeezing it in everywhere is going to be difficult. Plus, you're likely to tear up some of the yards. I'm not saying not to get a tow behind for the city, because you could very well do that. You could get a tow behind and just get the stumps in the front yard, or the easy access stumps. That's a good way to make money too. Easy access stumps, just roll around, bang on doors, especially during the summertime. Roll around, bang on doors, and just make it happen. And what you could do is farm out the smaller stumps to somebody else, somebody that's got a small stump grinder. Just work a trade deal with them. Say, hey, I'll send you these small gigs that I can't get to. You just pay me some commission. Maybe it's 20%, something. It doesn't matter really what it is. You just make a deal with him. Maybe he'll send you the bigger stumps. So I used to have a 1642M tow behind machine, and they're awesome machines for the dollar that you're spending on it. I think I only paid $7,000 at the time, but mine has some issues. All stump grinders, unless you buy them brand new, it's going to have some on there that ain't perfect. That machine, it had a problem with, it's got this pop-out window. And what you do is you push in a little lever, and then you can swing this pop-open window out to protect you from all the debris. Well, the last company was a tree company that had that machine. And what it has is it's got like a cylinder, and then a pin drops right in the middle of it. And that kind of is the turning mechanism for that window that pops out. Well, anyway, they bent it all up so the pin is on the inside was a little crooked. Not nowhere near that crooked, but it was crooked enough where you couldn't open up that window. It was just by yourself. You needed two people to open it up. So what I did was I had somebody cut where the cylinder was like this, and then cut it vertically so it just separated just a little bit. The whole thing, just cut it open. And it was strong enough to hold that window. Wasn't super heavy, but it was strong enough to hold it in place, but separated just enough where it gave it just enough room for it to move. Sprayed some grease inside there, and I was ready to roll. You know, the best thing about them tow behinds, you could just roll up, keep your truck running, get that quick stump in the front yard, and get to the next one. They're good machines. They're not, they're not that bad, but the only downside is just you can't fit in everywhere with them. They're good machines. You just can't fit everywhere you need to in the big cities, and even in tight yards that might have more obstacles. It's easier when you have a nice self-propelled machine that you can fit, especially if you got like a good amount of horsepower. But if you're just starting off, either get that or get a self-propelled. I used to have a Vermeer 252, and a Vermeer 252. It's only 25 horsepower. It's real lightweight. It's small. I used to actually tow it with a little Honda Civic. And Honda Civics don't come with a tow hitch on it. I had one of my friends bolt a tow hitch to it just so I could make some money with it. And I rode around with that little 252 Vermeer, and it was a good machine. I mean, you could get in tight spots with it. You can't get stumps done very quickly, especially the bigger ones, but if I did it all again, I would focus on the smaller ones with that machine and network. I mean, I looked at the competition back then as a bad thing, but nowadays I'm the opposite. When my stump grinder has gone down, and and I couldn't get these jobs done. I've networked with other guys. There's one other guy out in Hampton that I've sent him work. He's sent me work, you know, especially we live on the opposite side of this. They got this big bridge tunnel out here. So traffic gets all jammed up out there. So sometimes he doesn't want to cross the water for a small job. So he'll send it to me and I'll do the same thing to him. I've sent him big stumps. He's sent me some good work too. And especially when my machine has gone down, I've sent him some good size grinding, you know, for a day or whatever, and it was very helpful. I still made money off of it. You know, I outsourced it to him. He made money, and I made money. We got in and out on the property. We you know, had lunch, and it was a good day. But get yourself network with somebody real good, and sometimes you can help each other out. If I need a part for my machine, because he has machines like that. Plus, he's got like 6 or 7 other grinders. If I need a couple teeth, or if he needs some help on his stump grinder, I've helped him a couple times. And we just help each other back and forth. It's not cutthroat like that. We're pretty low on our prices. We know what it takes to repair the machines and where you got to be price wise. If you're too cheap, you just ain't gonna make no money, and you're gonna tear your machine all up. You think you're making money, but the expenses on these machines, they'll eat you up, and you're going to be putting yourself out of business rather than just let it sit and wait for the customers that pay a few dollars more. Another advantage of that tow behind is maintenance. Maintenance is not that harsh on those tow behinds. In fact, it's pretty damn awesome. When I had that tow behind, I think I only changed it about maybe once on that machine, and I've changed out the bearings a couple times. Maybe once each side of the bearing. They didn't go bad that often. They're pretty durable. They're real good machines for the dollar that you're spending on it. How much horsepower should you get? You're right around, I think, a tow behind. If you have right around 40, 50, 60-ish, around that range, you could do a decent, just to start off. And I'm not saying production level, I'm saying just to start off right around that range. When you got all that weight on that wheel spinning, I mean, maybe 45, 50-ish horsepower is probably right around the lowest end of what you're going to want. And you're going to want a diesel machine. You're not going to want a gas. Get a diesel machine. Makes all the difference. Do not get a gas machine. They just ain't got the power, the low end torque when you start getting it into the stump. You know, that once you start getting into it, you need all that extra torque that you could get. But for the dollar you're spending for a tow behind, get an older diesel, just something that doesn't look ragged out, and just put it to work. Get your money back real quick, and then start being ahead of the dollar bill that you already spent. Another machine to check out is the 372 Vermeer. It's got a gearbox. It's not too much horsepower. I think it's right around 40, I think. But it is a diesel. You can get them in diesel. It's got 4-wheel drive on it. It's lightweight, and it's got this gearbox on the machine. And what that gearbox does is instead of you having to replace a bunch of bearings and belts on your machine, you just have this. It's kind of like a transmission on a car, except it's on a stump grinder. So you get all that extra torque, low end when you're grinding stump. It's a damn good machine. Plus, it's easy to work on. You got the motor wide open. It's not inside of a frame like the Super 50. It's a good lightweight machine that could do some awesome damage. For the efficiency of that machine and the cost, startup forward, and the durability of that machine is pretty impressive. Look into that, the 372. Super 50 engine compartment looks like. It is packed in there. It is not fun working on the Super 50 motor or anything. If you have a problem with that pump in there, you have to separate the motor from the pump, pull out the motor, and then you got to access the pump. And there's probably about 26 lines under all of that. About 26 lines is the last time I remember counting all those lines. I think that's how many there were in there. So it's definitely not fun working on. It's good for destroying a stump. It's good for destroying a stump. That's a good machine. But they got this hydraulic drive, and then they got this belt that wraps around here. These belts tend to last a good amount of time. One thing that does typically go, and you gotta clean out these bearings a lot. But these bearings, if you're not careful, like this one right here, all this trash that's wrapped up in there, I shouldn't have done that. I need to pull out that next before I run the machine next. But what happened is this stuff will get sucked into the bearing, and it won't take very long at all. I mean, I remember one day I went to this one job site and sucked in vines, and it wasn't long. I'm talking about 5 minutes. I ended up blowing this bearing and this bearing at the same time. And usually bearings, especially when they're Timken, you want to make sure you buy Timken bearings. Don't buy that cheap China stuff. Just, it don't last that long. I've tried the China stuff. I've tried, different Amazon things or whatever. I tried a bunch of them, and none of it holds up very long. You want to get yourself Timken bearings. These are the Timkens, and that's what you want. You want the Timken bearings. These, you can't read, it's too dirty, but that's what you want. You want the Timken bearings. But you get this window that right here, you got this lever you push in there, and then you got to pull out the window. It's hard to grab it, but this whole window pulls out, and then you could grind the stump, and that protects you. The good thing about this Rayco Super 50 is it's got this lever, and that engages the hydrostatic drive, and it turns it on or turns it off. But the good thing about it is, since it's not a belt driven, I mean, it's got a belt over there obviously, but for stopping the machine very quickly, all you got to do is pop that lever and it's done. It stops immediately. It's nothing like another machine where you have to wait for everything to slow down, the engine to slow down. So that's a huge advantage of this machine.